everyone, it's John from What Up, and welcome back to another video. And we have a few bits of Wheel of Time news for you this evening. Yes, it's been a couple of weeks since my last news video, but we finally have some things to talk about, and they have some pretty big implications for what we may see about Season 2 in the coming weeks. So if you're new to the channel and you don't know what we do here, we cover Wheel of Time show news, so anything and everything to do with the Wheel of Time, that's what we talk about. Whether it be official news, rumors, or leaks, we cover it all here. And we're going to start branching out soon too, so in the next couple of days you'll see a Cosmere video pop up in your feeds from me, and it's because we're going to cover the Cosmere by Brandon Sanderson. He has let it slip that they're going to do an adaptation, and we'll know more about it before the end of the year. So much like the Wheel of Time, I plan on covering the Cosmere from inception right up till it hits the screen, or in whatever format they plan on doing this adaptation in, because I really do enjoy the Cosmere and all the related books with it. Brandon Sanderson's a wonderful writer, and I'm pretty excited that we'll have something else to discuss here in the channel. So if you like that sort of thing, make sure you subscribe, click that like button, and of course tell all of your friends. We're trying to hit around 20,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Now normally at this point I'd give a spoiler warning, but we're not really going to talk about a whole lot in the video that's going to spoil much of anything. I won't do any speculation other than what we may see. So what are we going to see? Well, recently, and we're talking today, September 14th, it was announced that Prime Video has a bunch of different blocks. They're going to do a bunch of different stuff at New York ComicCon. It was something that we really didn't expect because, let's face it, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power is in full swing, and the last episode is on October 14th, and we've all pretty much assumed at this point that we're not going to get any new Wheel of Time information whatsoever until after that's done, because their focus will be purely on the Rings of Power. But they kind of proved us wrong, and I'm happy they did, because we've been kind of starving for any and all news. I think the last tidbits we got were at San Diego Comic-Con, other than a few smidges and leaks here and there. So New York Comic-Con plans on being something pretty special. So what are they doing? Well, they're doing a couple of different things here. They're having Rafe the showrunner show up, and they're also having some of the cast. They don't name which cast, they just say some. So what they're saying is it's going to happen Friday, October 7th at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be on Empire Stage. And with the Wheel of Time, it says, following their season-long adventure that culminated in a showdown with the Dark One and the shocking reveal of the Dragon Reborn's identity, the cast and creative team behind the Wheel of Time will assemble in New York for their first in-person Comic-Con. So that's a pretty big deal. We're talking San Diego Comic-Con. It was all virtual. It was a pre-recorded panel. They didn't really do much there. They announced a few tidbits and stuff like that. And they did have an Origins panel, but that wasn't specifically geared around the Wheel of Time show. It was geared around Wheel of Time Origins. So while I don't really agree with the fact that this is their first in-person Comic-Con, for Wheel of Time, I guess sorta it is. Join the series stars and showrunner Rafe Judkins as they reflect back on the Season 1 journey, both on and off screen, as well as drop a few hints of what the audience can anticipate from the hotly anticipated second season. Yeah, they said anticipate and anticipated within 4 words of each other. I didn't like that either. All right, Wheel of Time socials, and it gives all that stuff. Now, what's important to note about this is we're getting Rafe Judkins, a showrunner. He's going to talk about the show. We've seen him talk before. He generally gives a ton of information when he talks, and usually more than he plans on it. He did a Q&A on Twitter while he was drinking before dinner one night and gave us a ton of information, including dozens of little tidbits that really don't mean much to non-hardcore fans, but those of us who are really into the Wheel of Time ate it up. Like the fact that Hopper will be in Season 2 for sure, and he kind of prompted that question. So there's all kinds of little stuff like that. So when Rafe's talking, generally he gives away way more than he says at face value, whether by accident or design, and I kind of want to think it's design because he is a smart man. So we're bound to see a ton of stuff. Now, they also said that he's going to be joined by some of the cast. Now, if I had to guess, if it's a guess, I would say Rosamund Pike will probably be there. Daniel Henney will most likely be there because they are the two big actor and actresses involved in the show. Although we may get some of the Emmons Field 5 too. We might get Yosha Stradowski, who plays Randall Thor. We may get Madeline Madden or Zoe Robbins. We may get Marcus Rutherford. We may get any of the cast, really. We don't know who it is, but my guess is we'll get some of the main cast. And my hope, I really do hope that they'll introduce a couple of other cast members. Now, they did introduce Elaine at a Comic-Con last year after I leaked her casting. So C.R. Coveney, sorry about that. I leaked your casting and they had to announce it in an offhand manner. I'm kind of hoping they announce the rest of the Drakans, including my favorite character, Gowan. Will they have them on hand for that? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there, but I do know that October 7th at 4:15 Eastern, what I'm going to be doing is digging around for any scraps I can at all, because there's no real word yet, at least when I recorded this video, if they'll be live streaming these events or if they're going to show up on YouTube later on. Now, I know with a lot of the other cons, different things have happened where they showed up on YouTube a few hours later, a few days later, or, you know, somebody transcribed them, put them on Twitter. I actually had a couple of individuals at the last Comic-Con record some of the things, and I was able to share it here on the channel. So if you are going to New York Comic-Con and you want to hold a cell phone to record for a little bit for this panel, if you're allowed, sometimes they do take their phones from you for the panels and you can't have them, but if you're allowed to record and you are going to attend there, drop me a line. I would love to hear from you, because I would love to get a recording of this panel for the channel, because it would be absolutely fantastic. Now, there's one other thing I want to mention about this panel, other than the fact that we're probably going to get some castings, we're probably going to get a teaser, and we're probably going to get the release date for Season 2. When I say probably, I mean I'm hoping for all of that. I have no idea what we're actually going to get, but those are my three big hopes. I hope for a couple of castings, I hope for the release date for Season 2, and I hope for a teaser trailer. Being that it's New York Comic Con and it's a massive stage, I'm going to guess that most likely we'll get a teaser trailer with the actual release date for Season 2 kind of time stamped at the end of it on the screen, and that's how they end it, how they'll end it. Castings, I'm not so sure of, but I really hope they do that as well. Now, they're being smart about this. Finally, the marketing people are being smart. I know that's, at least in this household, an oxymoron when I talk about marketing people. They're generally not very bright when it comes to the Wheel of Time, because they did a terrible job leading up to Season 1. The marketing wasn't great. Now, I've heard from a lot of folks out there that I see marketing in my town. I've seen some things here and there. They did a decent job. They didn't do badly. And when I say terrible, I don't mean to get too hard on them, but they didn't treat it the same way they treated their other big-name properties. And by that, I don't mean Lord of the Rings. That was something special in and of itself, what the marketing people handled with that. I expected something better than what we got for Season 1. But this here, they're doing back-to-back panels with Lord of the Rings and Wheel of Time. Lord of the Rings is the hottest thing out there right now. It's the biggest streaming show pretty much of all time for Amazon. I think, and you can't really quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that as of a few days after the first and second episodes were released, they had over 25 million unique views of the first episode, which was their biggest hit ever. Will they make the money back they put in on it? I don't know. It is a good show. I do like it. Watch my reviews. You want to hear what I think about it. But you can't deny that it's absolutely massive. It has a huge fan base of hardcore Tolkien fans, and it has right now a much bigger fan base of people who are fantasy fans that know of the Lord of the Rings and like it and watch the show, that aren't bothered by lore or how things should be or how they think things should be. They just enjoy the show for what it is, and it's not a bad show. The pacing's good, the editing's good, the CG, for the most part, is pretty good. The costuming's good. It's a good show. So having these panels back to back is a huge boost for the Wheel of Time. Absolutely massive, and it will do a ton of marketing for the Wheel of Time just to have them on the same stage at the same time, because everyone that covers Lord of the Rings or goes to see things about Lord of the Rings is going to hear about Wheel of Time as well. Now, for those of you who don't know, when Lord of the Rings first came out, the Rings of Power first episode and second episode came out on Prime, they were running ads for the Wheel of Time prior to, and it caused a massive resurgence of people who watched the Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time actually jumped up a bunch of spots in hours watched for the first few weeks that Rings of Power were out, and that's mainly due to the fact that no one bloody knew the show was out there. They were fantasy fans, and they would have watched it if they had known, but they didn't know. And when they watched the commercials at the beginning of Rings of Power, they went, that's something I want to see. And they went back and they watched their first full season. You can see it on Reddit right now. You can see it on Twitter. And to a lesser extent, Facebook. People are talking about the Wheel of Time again, which hasn't happened since the first season dropped. And I'm pretty excited about that. So let me know in the comments down below what you folks think. Are we going to get a casting? Will it be my casting, Gowan? Will we see my favorite character? Or do you think it'll be a couple of minor castings, things that have already been leaked? Do you think we'll get a teaser trailer? My gut says yes, but I'm not entirely sure. And do you think we'll get the release date for Season 2? Again, we've been being told by our sources for a very long time, not till next year, but I'm hopeful that we'll get it earlier. so long as all of the VFX and the post-production work goes well. Here's crossing our fingers. But let me know in the comments down below what you think we'll get. All right, so let's get on to the second and last piece of news, and make sure you stay tuned after this because there's some housekeeping things about the channel, some interesting and exciting things coming up that I want to talk about. And this is, what we're talking about now is a new map for the Wheel of Time. Now, November 8th is the tentative release date. That's when it's expected to come out, although we all know things can happen. Of the Origins of the Wheel of Time by Michael Livingston. Now, it is a book that talks about where certain ideas and certain things came from for the Wheel of Time. There's a lot of really interesting and cool stuff in there. I'm hoping to get myself an advanced copy of it so I can review it here for the channel. That's in the works right now, so I hope that comes to fruition because that would be really cool. But what Michael did do is he released a map. So he redid the Wheel of Time map. Now, we all know the iconic map. You can see it in the background of my videos. You see it all over the channel. You see it pretty much everywhere. It's really, really cool. However, it is inaccurate. It is not exactly 100% accurate to the author's vision and how things were supposed to be in the book series itself. So it was redone. And they released this sort of as a tidbit, and thank you to everybody to build some buzz for this book that's coming out in November, and it's really cool. Basically, the major difference here is Sean Chan is absolutely bloody massive. In the official map, it's much smaller. It doesn't look exactly the same way here. The closest you're going to get is the world of Wheel of Time, which I have behind me here on the shelf, but it's not quite the same. And it's broken up and looks a little bit different. A lot of care and a lot of work went into this map, and it looks absolutely amazing. But it was kind of neat to release this. We're going to see this. We're also going to get in this book, just so you folks know, I've heard that we're going to find out who Nakomi is. So I'm pretty excited about that. If you don't know who that is, at one point in the books, Avienda is visited by someone by the name of Nakomi, and there's a whole lot of speculation on who this person could be, how they fit into the book series, and it's one of those mysteries and secrets that's been enduring for years, and there's a whole lot of guesses on it. There's a whole lot of people that have put their 2 cents in on it. I've talked about it here in the channel. I actually have a video about it coming out in the next couple of weeks because it's one of those things that no one really knows, and this is it. We're in the home stretch. This is the final weeks of this secret before it's revealed to everybody what it is. So it's like one of those things. Growing up, reading the books, a big part of that was trying to guess what happened or figure out what went on before the next book come out. And it's kind of sad. This is the end of an era. It's one of those last things that we're actually going to hear about in this book. So if you haven't heard of the book, I've left a link to it down below in the description box. Make sure you guys pre-order it. And again, watch the channel. I'm hoping to do a review of it earlier before it comes out. I'm hoping to get my hands on an advanced copy. So yeah, absolutely really cool, stunning looking map. It was released. It's all over the place right now. You can see it on Twitter. It's on a bunch of different Wheel of Time websites. And of course, it's right here. But a really very neat thing they're doing. And again, that book is The Origins of Wheel of Time by Michael Livingston, out on or around November 8th. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about housekeeping for the channel. Now, there hasn't been much Wheel of Time news lately, so I've decided I'm going to start a new series here on the channel. It's going to come out every Tuesday, and we're going to call it What Talk Tuesdays. Essentially, I'm sitting down with someone every single Tuesday, and we're going to talk about the Wheel of Time. We'll talk about how they get interested in the books. We'll talk about their favorite characters. We'll talk about all kinds of different stuff. You'll see some familiar faces from the hardcore fandom and Twitter at time, but you're also going to see some surprisingly famous people show up here on the channel talking about the Wheel of Time who are big Wheel of Time fans, and I'm pretty excited about that. Look for the first one, hopefully. Now, we're crossing our fingers here next Tuesday. I already have a few of them recorded, but I have an interview that's coming up this weekend that I'm hoping to be the very first one out on Tuesday. And remember, it's called Talking Wheel of Time with. We're going to call it What Talk Tuesdays. Really interesting. And the video's very in length, but it's Wheel of Time content, and it's a whole lot of fun. We're going to continue to cover news and whatnot, but also, like I said at the beginning of the video, watch the next few days for some Cosmere videos. I'll do an explanation on the Cosmere. I'm going to break down all the book series that are involved in the Cosmere, and then we're going to start covering and following the news about the adaptation. Brandon Sanderson's pretty coy about all his stuff, and he is a savvy businessman. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's building up hype and anticipation for this, and this could be, in my opinion, maybe even bigger than Rings of Power if the proper people pick it up and the proper things are done with it, because of its popularity and because of how slick and cool all of his series are, and the chance for crossovers. I won't give too much away to my Cosmere video, but it's pretty neat. So anyway, thank you all so very much for sticking with me here to the very end, and here's to many more.